What's going on, guys? Mr. Domo back at it again, and welcome back to the channel. So we're almost done with the year and 2020 is just around the corner, so I just wanted to do kind of a updated video of just showing the vintage collection that I got so far with the Stormtroopers. So if you weren't aware, I'm doing a Stormtrooper kind of collection with the Hasbro Star Wars collection line. And of course, right here in front of you, you guys are seeing the 3 Boba Fetts that I got. They're all different types of variants here. So we have the first one here. This is vintage collection number 3, and this was the mail order exclusive rocket firing Boba Fett. And of course, this one was really cool because I mean, Hasbro did kind of like a fan service to everybody who wanted the Kenner style Boba Fett with the rocket firing backpack, and so they did that, and that was a mail order exclusive. So that's vintage collection number 3. And then here, this is vintage collection number 61, and this was the also this was a mail order exclusive at first, but then they re-released it and then you were able to buy it at stores. But this is vintage collection 61, and of course this is the prototype armor, which was the concept design for Boba Fett before they went to the actual like the colors that you see here. But this guy right here, they didn't want to do this, of course, because he looks too much like a Stormtrooper, and so people were getting confused about that, so they didn't go with that. But this was the mail order prototype, and that's 61. And then here, this is not actually a vintage collection, this is the vintage original trilogy. And the reason why I got this was because of the card back. You know, it says Return of the Jedi, which was obviously the 3rd installment of the Star Wars trilogy, but I am missing one, which is the Revenge of the Jedi, which came out in 2011. I want to say that was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, but I'm not really sure. I need to look into that. But you know, I do want to pick that up because it'll be really awesome to see all 4 cards. You know, I got the original Star Wars, the Empire Strikes Back, and of course the Return of the Jedi. And then I would, you know, hopefully collect the Revenge of the Jedi Boba Fett, which would be really awesome. But these are all graded by AFA. Of course, you know, this one received a 8.5, this one received a 9.0, and then this one received a 85 plus. And of course the grading scale is different. That's because this is a 2004, so it's considered, you know, vintage, and these are all modern graded, so they kind of go into the I guess the 2-point system, you know. And so this one, you know, the vintage is kind of, you know, graded from 100 all the way down to 0. So, but those are the Boba Fetts that I got right now, and I just want to show you, if you're new to the channel, this is what I have so far as the vintage collection. And of course, you know, like I said before, I wanted to show you the Stormtrooper variants that I got so far, and I'll start off with the first one, which is my oldest one right now that I have in my collection. And that is, of course, the Sand Trooper in its foil card back. And this one is really cool because it does have the offer for the free Boba Fett, which is over there. But this is vintage number 14, as you can see right there. Really cool card back. I love the foil treatment. And of course, this is the Sand Trooper, and it was released again, which is vintage collection 112. That's the one that I'm actually missing out of all the, you know, Stormtrooper variants that I have. I don't have any clone troopers because that is a whole different collection on its own. So right now I'm just doing the Stormtroopers, but maybe in the future I'll you know, get the clone troopers. But this is the Sand Trooper, and like I said, this is vintage 14. So this is one of my earliest you know, Stormtroopers that I have in my collection. And of course, these are all carded, not graded yet. I still need to do that, so hopefully once I'm done grading my vintage loose action figures, then I can go on to start grading these guys just like how they are carded and everything. So the next one I have here, now this is vintage 41, and this is the you know, the Empire Strikes Back Stormtrooper. And there are 2 variants with this guy, and this is one of the variants where, as you can see right there, you know, where his abs are at, there's these little buttons that are painted in. And so there's 2 variants where there's one that's not painted and then unpainted. But this is vintage collection 41, and there are 2 variants, and this one I believe is the removable helmet. Of course, one big drawback to this is like the helmet does not match the actual body. You could tell that there's like a difference in coloring there, but this is really cool. Of course, this is like one of the earliest stormtroopers that were out there in the vintage collection, and like I said, this is vintage collection 41. Really cool, and there's 2 variants out there with this guy, so really cool. Now the next one here, now there's a big gap because there weren't any stormtroopers released after that besides 112, which is the re-release of the Sand Trooper. But here we have from the Force Awakens the First Order Stormtrooper, and this is, you know, somewhat recent, and this is vintage collection 118. So this is the you know, First Order Stormtrooper, so a little bit different. I guess you could say it's a more modern take on the Stormtrooper, but really cool figure there. And of course, like I said, this is vintage collection 118. Then right after that, we go into the Walmart exclusive, which is the Minban you know, Stormtrooper. And of course, this guy right here, it is vintage collection 123. And this was a Walmart exclusive, obviously you could tell by the big old sticker there, but this one obviously was in the Han Solo movie, and so really cool. He's, you know, he's all kind of like raggedy looking, he's got all kinds of mud on him and stuff like that, so really cool design. And then of course he actually comes with like a cloth, I want to say like a cape, so that is really cool. And of course he does have his accessories there, blaster and then a long rifle. So this one, the Walmart exclusive from the Han Solo movie, and that's vintage 123. Now right after that one, we go into vintage collection 126, which goes into the Rogue One movie. And of course here we have the Imperial Assault Tank Driver. Again, really cool design. I love it. It almost looks like a speeder bike trooper, but of course, you know, he's got all this dirt and grime on him, and then he comes with his one blaster there. So really cool variant there, and I like this one. And this is vintage collection 126. Now the next one was right after that one, was vintage collection 127, and here we have the Imperial Death Trooper, which is a really cool design. I really dig this. You know, he's like the assassin of all the stormtroopers. Really cool. He's got all kinds of bandoliers there on his, he's all blacked out, and then of course, you know, he's got it looks like he's got a somewhat of a assault rifle there, and then he's got a little pistol there. It's really cool design. And of course this is from Rogue One, and this is the vintage collection 127. So this literally came out right after that Stormtrooper, the Minban Stormtrooper, but this is a really cool design. I really dig this one. So right after that one, which is kind of weird, they went back to the Han Solo movie, and of course this is vintage collection 128, and I'll show you the back there. So there it is, 128, and then this is the Range Trooper, so kind of like a more heavier type of snow trooper there. I love the aesthetic. Again, he's kind of got like a fur coat, like a heavy, you know, kind of cold weather coat, you know, implemented into his outfit, and then he's like kind of like half mech'd out. He's got kind of like these mech boots there, so really cool design, and I really dig this one. So like I said, I'm a big fan of these kind of like these evolution of these stormtroopers, and of course he's got like a one kind of a single visor there, as you can see right there. Really cool. So really dig this guy. And of course this is 128, and then of course right after that we get 133, going back to Rogue One, and this is the Scarif Stormtrooper, or aka the Beach Trooper. And you know, this guy right here, really cool design. Again, he almost looks just like the Assault Tank Driver. He kind of has the same aesthetic, but he's got his bandolier there. Really cool design. I really dig it. And he's got his insignia there, and of course he's got like an armband going on. But this was a really cool design again, and that's 133. So after, like, there's like a big jump, and then right after they started just doing all these stormtroopers, but for a while it seems like there was a big gap. Of course, you know, they have to get other characters out there in the line. So next we have the Rogue One Imperial Stormtrooper. Of course, this is back to the original trilogy, so you could kind of say this was a re-release, but here you got the Imperial Stormtrooper, and of course it ties in with Rogue One because Rogue One is kind of like in between the trilogies or before the trilogy, so you already had the Stormtroopers there. But this is a very interesting one, and this is Vintage Collection 140, and so here you just have another Stormtrooper. I really like this one. And of course, just like I said, as you can see on this one, his buttons there are all painted, but just like Vintage Collection 41, they're not painted, and then there's one that's painted, so you get those two different variants. But this one so far, there is no other variants with these other guys except for that 41, but really cool design. Again, this is just the Imperial Stormtrooper, so going back to the original, you know, the concept of the Stormtroopers. Oh no, I dropped one. And then next here we have the you know, Captain Phasma with the Force Awakens, and this one is Vintage Collection 142, and so this was an interesting one. Of course, you know, this was kind of like the leader of the Stormtroopers, you know, so Captain Phasma. This one was interesting because they kind of went with a plastic you know, cape there. They didn't go with the cloth one, but there you go, you have Captain Phasma, and this is a really cool design too, like I said, because it's all, you know, it's like metallic finish. I feel like the helmet has more of a metallic finish than the rest of the body. The body just seems to have like a dull finish, not really like a shiny metallic finish. So I kind of wish they would have did that, because I believe in the movies it was really shiny throughout the body. But this was another cool design, and again, another Stormtrooper variant, and that's 142. Then right after that we had this was, I believe this was the Target exclusive with the Han Solo and the Stormtrooper outfit. This is 143, so this literally came right after Captain Phasma. Really cool design. Of course, you know, it's just a regular Stormtrooper, but you have Han Solo. They're still missing a Luke Skywalker in this, you know, in this line. They have not made it, so it's kind of interesting they went with Han Solo, but they still haven't made a Luke Skywalker in the Stormtrooper outfit, so that'd be really cool. But there you go, and I think the picture there really, it's really made, I mean, it really does look like Han Solo, so it's really good. And of course it has the removable helmet and then a blaster there, so that's 143. Yeah, so 143. And then we go into 147, and then here we have Rogue One, the Death Star gunner, the guy that's operating the Death Star, you know, main gun there. So really not, he's not really a Stormtrooper, but I really dig the aesthetic, and he's got that weird goofy helmet on, just like in Spaceballs. So really cool. He's got that large antenna there, but there you go, you got the Death Star gunner there, and I thought this was a really cool add-on, you know what I'm saying. So this one's 147, really cool figure there. And then we're going back to Rogue One, and of course they brought out the Imperial Assault Tank Commander, and you know, this one really mirrors off the same one as the Imperial Assault Tank Driver, just a little bit difference in the chest piece, and of course it has a, you know, blaster there, but really cool design. And of course, you know, being a gunner or being a commander on a tank, you know, you're gonna get some dirt and grime all over you, so really cool. And of course this is going back to Rogue One, and this is vintage 148, so they're almost like back to back with these releases of these Stormtroopers. Okay, so the one that I dropped by accident, oops, this is vintage 163, the Shadow Trooper, and again, just like the you know, the Assault Trooper, whatever, this one looks really good. Again, this is really awesome, all blacked out, it's got the bandolier there, and of course has the you know, kind of like a long rifle and then a blaster there, but really cool figure there. And this one's 163, and this one was like the hardest one for me to get because it kept selling out. But I was finally able to obtain this one. So really cool figure there. And of course this one's the Shadow Trooper, and this is 163. So right after that, then we go into the Rise of the Skywalker movie, and of course the first one we have here is I actually skipped here. This is 159. So this actually came before the Shadow Trooper, but this is the Sith Jet Trooper, and of course, you know, this is part of the Rise of the Skywalker movie, and of course, you know, it's, you know, obviously it's a Jet Trooper all in red, and then you get 2 different blasters there. So another really cool one to have. And of course this one's 159, so I kind of skipped around, excuse me for that one. But after that, then you get the 2 of the Sith Troopers, and you have 2 variants, and of course this is 162. This one right here is the Sith Trooper, and of course, you know, you get one kind of like heavy, you know, weapon there, and then you get kind of a blaster. Now I'm not sure if they were changing these blasters around with the Sith Troopers. I think this one is okay. I think they all came kind of the same here, but this one's 162, and so you have the regular Sith Troopers just with 2 weapons. So you have 1 heavy and then 1 light, and then they came out with 162 Alpha, which is the Sith Trooper with the armory pack. So you have the little sticker there saying it's the armory pack, and this was a Amazon exclusive, which was kind of a pain in the butt, because if you ordered anything from Amazon, like any carded figures, you know how they send them in through these envelopes. It's horrible, but this one actually came in pretty minty, and so I was like really happy. Now there are different variants with this last one here. I would say it's the card back does not have, there's 2 card backs with the sticker and no sticker, and then with the figure, the different weapons, I want to say like the light weapons are kind of like changed out with different weapons. So there's kind of like somewhat of different variants when it comes to the weapons, and then of course the card back. But this was the pretty much the last Stormtrooper released so far with 162 Alpha. And that's with the you know, the Rise of the Skywalker movie. And of course that's pretty much it. That's what's ending off this year with the vintage collection line with the Stormtroopers and pretty much I think any other characters. Now the first quarter of 2020 we're gonna start getting characters from the Mandalorian TV show, which is really awesome. So they do have 1 Stormtrooper out there, of course, and then you have Mando, and then I believe, I'm not sure, but I think Mando is gonna come in with Baby Yoda, or either Baby Yoda is gonna come in with a different character. But they're gonna start releasing characters from the the TV show The Mandalorian, which I cannot wait. But that's gonna be until the first quarter of 2020, so it's still a while. But you know, this was pretty much the last Stormtrooper to be released, so that's pretty much it. And you know, like I said, I collect these, I keep them carded. You know, it's just kind of like a fun way for me to collect them, you know, just like how, you know, we collected back in, you know, in the days when we were a kid collecting them. And I wish I would have taken them out into the card backs, because now they're like worth some money. But I mean, not for like I'm collecting them for money, it's just like I just love collecting them just for the card back, and of course, you know, looking at the different evolutions of all these Stormtroopers. So I can't wait to you know, get those other figures from the vintage collection line. I thought the rumors were that they were gonna stop doing it, but it looks like they're gonna continue on with the Mandalorian, and then hopefully they don't do any more re-releases. I hope they do more characters or whatever comes along. But that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to show you that update video of what I got on the vintage collection line. Like I said, once I'm done sending off all my vintage, you know, Star Wars Kenner action figures to AFA getting graded, then I'm gonna start focusing on taking these card backs and getting them graded. It makes it a lot easier to display them and then just have them sealed, and I don't have to worry about anything. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you in the next video.